So, you want to be a contractor. Ever wonder what it takes to become a contractor? The journey they go on to get where they are now, or the crazy things they see and hear on the job site? Well, you're in the right spot. Welcome to So You Want to Be a Contractor, the podcast. Join your host, Mike Fisher, as he talks to owners of construction companies from all over about how they got started, how they run their business, and some of the craziest stories they've experienced on their job sites. And now, your host, Mike Fisher.
Welcome to So You Want to Be a Contractor. This is episode number 32. My name is Mike Fisher, and my co-host, who is still here, I'll let her introduce herself.
Hello, I am Marisela Arechiga. Try and say that 3 times.
I still can't
And you
say
win a
it.
prize with the new generation home improvement. One day, Mike, you'll get it.
Yep.
And this is, I'm still here. Mike hasn't fired me yet. I'm really, thank you, Mike. Thank you.
Oh, it's been great. And our guest today, Rob Brinzer, president at Trident Electric Service. How you doing, Rob?
Doing well. How about you?
Good. He just informed us offline before we started that it's a little warmer up there than anywhere else in the state. What did you say, like 115 today?
About that, yeah.
Yeah.
Hot day.
So stay cool inside.
California has been on like day 59,000 of a heat wave. It's
Yep.
no longer fun.
Never
We
ending.
give up. White flag is being waved. Like we need cooler days. And Robert, you take the cake at 115 degrees up in outside of Sacramento. I am so sorry for you.
No, it's okay.
Yeah. Glad we can pull you inside and keep you in the air conditioning for an hour or so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really cool. So let's get this rolling.
Yeah.
What's your story, Rob? How did you get into this industry? How did you get to where you are now as president of this big electrical company?
What do you do?
Yeah. My wife asked me that too. No, it's not a typical story. And
We love that.
by any means, right? So I went to the Naval Academy right after high school, graduated, and I spent 5 years in the SEAL teams as an officer.
Wow, thank you for your service, man.
Can we
Yeah,
just
thanks.
park right there? Can we just
Yeah, let's
park
just
right there for
hold
the
for a
rest
second.
of the time?
Yeah.
You went to the Naval Academy and you were a SEAL for a period of time.
Yes.
Ooh,
was.
I want to know everything. I want to,
Right.
we're not talking about contractor stuff. That's freaking awesome.
It was good. Good year. I got to work with and for a lot of amazing individuals, and so that was an experience that I'll keep close for the rest of my life. But
Rob, when was the military something that you wanted, that you had hoped for growing up? With like, I'm gonna go into the military. This is something that speaks to me.
it was something that I was a kind of a lifelong goal ever since I was a young kid. So it was really satisfying to actually see it, come to fruition.
How did the SEAL thing happen? Was it I'm going to be a Navy SEAL or I'm going to be in the military?
Both. I kind of wanted to be in the military and serve in the SEAL teams. So it just, I guess it's probably a good example of setting long-term goals and then figuring out what you need to do to achieve them. And kind of working at that for many years. And a little bit of luck and good fortune along the way as well. Right. But it was a great experience.
How long did you serve for?
5 years active duty.
Okay.
Wow.
But
Yeah.
thank you for your
Cool, man.
service.
Yeah,
I'm
thank
so
you.
glad to know you.
It was, thank you. I appreciate it. But I kind of made the decision I wanted to have a family, and you're gone a lot and you're gone a lot. Right. And it's very, very high op tempo, and I wanted to have kids, but I wanted to be around when my kids were born and take their first steps and be able to coach Little League and be in Boy Scouts with them or Girl Scout, all that kind of stuff. Right. So it was kind of an easy decision at that point to let's get out, start a family. So I started working for General Electric, and I spent 13 years working at GE. And had a variety of jobs there. My first job was a field service manager in their industrial division for GE appliances. So I was managing all the guys that did the in-home appliance repair business in Northern California, so the Bay Area, Sac, Fresno, and then up in Nevada as well.
Rob, can I pause first? Can I hold you for a second here? Because take me to the place in your life where you were coming off of active duty. Like, this was a long-term goal for you as a child into adolescence. I'm going to be in the military and I'm going to be, a Navy SEAL. And then you come off of that for another long-term goal of having a family. But there's this gap, right, between being in the military, working for the government to like trying to figure out, what do I want to do for the rest of my life? How did you cross that bridge? How did you fill that gap?
It was difficult, right? Because I mean, you got to get your ego under control in the sense that, hold on, I'm going from being a SEAL officer to managing appliance repair business. And that was,
Not,
It's a little different.
I was going to say,
it
not
was
quite
a little
the high
different.
stress, high leverage decisions being made there, huh?
agreed. And, it was from that perspective, from the stress and the everything like that, it was definitely a step down in terms of level of difficulty. But I mean, I just saw it as kind of a new challenge, right? It had a lot to learn, a ton to learn. The leadership came naturally to me, I think, based off of my leadership experience at school and in the teams. But, learning about the business world and learning how to run a service business and deliver service was a big challenge. And we
Mhm.
were stretched to, I mean, 85 to 100 direct reports over 5 areas, right?
Jeez.
That's a lot, but
Yikes.
it was fun, and I jumped into it, and I think I did pretty well. I still have a lot of good relationships with a lot of the people I work with or managed during that time. So I did that for about 7 years, and then moved over to GE Healthcare. Was a service director, had about 30 or 40 engineers that interacted with hospitals and installed and maintained all their diagnostic imaging equipment, so MRs and CTs, stuff like that. Um, so that was great because instead of business to consumer, I was more of a business to business.
Mhm.
Was able to start interacting a lot with the customers. And that led to sales role at GE, being a national sales director. So selling service contracts and the like to a lot of national accounts. Um, and that kind of rounded out my career at GE. I did about 13 years there and was able to do field leadership and operations, manage different P&Ls. And then I got some sales experience. And then I got a call from,
Do you
oh,
think
go
you
ahead.
going to the very beginning of that? I mean, it sounds like you stepped into a leadership role. Was that on purpose because of your history in the teams and what you'd done in the military that
It
you were
was,
able to kind of step into that position?
yeah, and that took me a while to figure out, because you start to lead the teams, you think, well, what are my transferable skills?
Mm,
Majority of my skills have no application in the business world.
mm.
Um, but the biggest
Well, the
transferable
tangible
skill is
ones, right?
leadership,
The
right?
tangible
Yeah.
Yeah,
skills don't, right? But I feel like a lot
they
of the
don't.
other ones do. Yeah.
They do. It's just as a, God, it's 25-year-old or something like that, 27-year-old, I didn't really make that connection at the start.
Yeah.
But yeah, leadership, right? And, there's another podcast I listen to a lot, Jocko, and, one of his comments is, every problem is a leadership problem. And that's not
Oof.
spot on, 100% right.
That cuts
Um,
deep, huh?
Every
it does.
problem is a leadership problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. To be clear, I
Um,
cannot take any credit for that quote. I'm merely just parroting
well,
what somebody else has said,
that's I'm
but it's
writing that down
accurate.
because that's probably going to be your answer for something I have later on. Rob, really, so as before you finish that thought, but if you could go back and tell your 25-year-old self or the 25-year-old veteran that's coming out of the military, how to cross that bridge. You got into GE, an incredible company, a Fortune 500 company. It's enormous scale, lots of different opportunities. But how would your 25-year-old self, how would you tell him to make those transferable skills? How do they cross that bridge?
I think that's something that the military has really come a long way on. When I got out, it was almost like, thanks, see you, have a good time.
Mm,
And educated, smart guy, and I was able to kind of figure out my own way. But there's a lot of junior enlisted folks who get out of the military, and it's a big unknown, right? You don't know anything about healthcare. You don't know anything about how the business world works. And especially if you're moving to a state like California and you're getting the business world, there's a lot of regulations to do
yeah.
it. from what I understand, the military is doing a lot better job of prepping young sailors and soldiers and Marines and airmen to make that transition. I know one of the guys I served with, John McCaskill, was really spent a lot of his time and career helping guys like that. Has have some of my classmates at school. Um, so I don't know. I don't know that I change anything.
Mm.
I just kind of figured out myself. And I look back because I got into the trades right when I got out of GE. So that's 15 years. Part of me thinks I wish I would have gotten into the trades a lot sooner. Because I absolutely love it. And like being involved in the construction service industries. But my time at GE taught me a lot about processes, management versus leadership. A lot of the operational rigor. I got sales experience. Got my MBA working at GE. And so, yeah, I really don't think I would change anything.
Well, there's a structure too, right? To some of those larger companies, right? There's a back office structure and a backbone to a lot of those larger companies that if you haven't experienced it, like you don't know what it takes to go from having 2 or 3 employees and a couple trucks and fix up a few electrical boxes here and there to go on to something where you can scale and actually take over a region and scale to that level. There's experience there for sure.
Absolutely. Right. Because when I left GE and I went to work for CoolSys, private equity backed commercial refrigeration and HVAC company, I ended up with about a $75 million P&L and a few hundred service techs in the field and then some business centers and everything like that. So then when I decided to start my own business, I have in my head a vision of where I want to get to, and the structure that I want. And now it's a matter of, kind of charting the journey to get there versus, I think if I had just gone into the trades and started the business right out of the Navy, as an example, I wouldn't have that experience of knowing what the structure is and what I want that end state to look like.
You may have been able to get there, but again, you don't know what it looks like when you get there. So you don't even, it's like looking for something that you don't know exists, right? You don't know what it looks like. Yeah.
Right. And there's
How
a lot
hard has it
about,
been?
go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, how hard has it been to be patient, right? To going from one of those big companies and you see how it runs and you know what it can be to starting on your own and knowing that you can't go from zero to that, in any short period of time.
The patience hasn't been the hard part because we have grown so much faster than I expected and planned for. I planned for a lot of aggressive growth and all the forecasts, all the performance that we built. But we've grown 3 to 4 times as fast as I thought we were going to, even with the aggressive plan. The most difficult part would be, I think, you need to buy something at a company. Hey, I need a new pair of work boots, or hey, we need to invest in this equipment or that equipment. Yeah, sure, let's do it. And now it started, it's like, hold on, let's see how much that costs. Right. And look at the cash flow. And I mean, you have to be a lot more fiscally conservative. When you're running a small business, right? That first priority is always payroll each week, making sure you can payroll.
For sure.
Right.
100%. Can you take me a step back though? Can you tell me a little bit more about what you do? Like are you commercial? Are you residential? Are you sliced in the middle? Like what is your company? What do you guys do? Who do you serve?
Yeah. The answer is yes. So we started off with residential service. And
how many years ago?
May 2nd.
What?
Of
May
this
2nd
year?
of this year. This year, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So we just broke the 4-month barrier.
You did it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
May 2nd.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So you're in your infancy stage.
We are, but I'll tell you, it's 4 months. We're up to 16 or 17 electricians. Got an office manager, got a field estimator that's out there, a foreman who's helping me in the office. We're moving shops in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So it's grown quickly.
What do you contribute that to? How do you open your doors May 2nd and like you've experienced all of this onboarding and growth? Like what's happening? Is it just because the market's so hot in construction right now, or do you just have a reputation? What is it?
I think I don't think there's one single answer to that, right? You know, when we started, I made the plans in March, and that paperwork for the SBA loan, working with a lawyer to get everything structured. One of the things I did was hired a marketing company, a local company that was recommended to me, Walrus Communications, and they have been outstanding. So there's their little plug. But they help in terms of branding. They help in terms of a marketing plan of how we're going to get the name out there. Google has been tremendous. We got onto the Google verified customers, right? The local businesses, which was really neat. You know, within a few weeks of starting, you can Google electrician in any of the cities, Sacramento electrician, Elk Grove electrician, El Dorado Hills, Roseville, any of the companies, or the cities that we service, and we pop first in Google.
How? What?
They did a great job of setting it up, search engine optimization, everything like that. I mean, there's a cost to it.
Of course.
You're paying per click and for all that kind of stuff. But, right. So I hired that first guy on May 2nd, and it was, that was keeping me up at night, right? I'm going to hire this guy. Am I going to have enough?
Now you're responsible to feed his family.
I am.
Put a roof over his head.
Yes.
Yeah, you are.
And I even wrote into his offer letter that for the first 8 weeks, I'd guarantee him 40 hours pay a week. Just because I knew he was taking a risk with me. And I wanted to make sure that I provided him some stability. And, that first week we had like 4 calls come in, which is not going to pay the bills. Pretty stressful, but every single one we just jumped on it. But by the end of 3 weeks, we were getting 30 to 40 calls a week, and we were booking most of them. And we had to start hiring. And so we started hiring additional service guys, got 2 guys, 3 guys, 4 guys. Found that I couldn't do anything because I was answering the phone all day. So I hired an office manager. So her role was expanded to, her job description is also kind of like, yes. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
You need help.
All
you need help
things
with,
necessary.
yes. Answer the phone, everything like that. And
Keep the refrigerator stocked.
everything,
Get printer.
man.
Yes.
Yes. And she's done a tremendous job. And so we had an office manager and 4 electricians, and then realized I needed some additional help. So I hired a foreman because he was helping me pull the permits, that technical expertise, off bigger jobs, that, stuff like that. Then we started getting calls coming in for solar. And one of that very first guy that I hired had several years of solar experience, negotiated a contract with someone, and, we're one of the installers for a big company that does a lot of solar. So now we got a crew of solar guys out doing, I'd say about two jobs a week. Had a call in for,
so you have a crew now that just does the solar installation.
Yeah. I call this, we're going to kind of brand it as our energy solutions division, because they do solar, battery backups, generator installs.
Dude, you have 2 divisions already.
Yeah, 3, because we got solar.
You have.
I say division, and honestly, if we're going to use military parlance, it should be like squad. Right?
Let's stay there.
But we're going to go with
Love
division. So we got guys doing energy solutions, and then we have construction / install. So we've done new home construction. We're in the middle of 32 lighting retrofits. That's night work, doing all the kinder cares in Northern California. And then we got our service team. And then I got an estimator that I'm working with, and we're starting to crank out. We got, no joke, we got about 32 bids in the backlog that we are cranking out estimates for and trying to get those out to customers for construction work. And right now we're rolling with about 5 guys in service.
So can I just insert a shameless little plug real quick?
Yeah.
Because I have to imagine your insurance guy hates you right now.
I just talked to him yesterday. I'm like, hey, I was doing some reading. We're starting to do solar. I need another job code for work comp for that. He's like, yeah.
Oh shit.
Yep. Yeah. So
that's what I do every day. And so just hearing all these things, I'm going, oh gosh, oh God, oh God, oh no.
Yeah. We even had the conversation yesterday. I'm like, I'm looking here and I got like 5140s and 5190s for, inside electricians.
Yep.
But that I'm seeing here for underground. So if I get a guy that's laying some underground conduit, do I need to get another job code and then start to cost allocate the hours? And when I do the workers' comp every week, and he's like, if their main job is residential, you're probably okay with that. And he's probably going to kick me for talking about this on here, right? But yeah, it gets complicated with the insurance and the
It's incidental work. You're fine. It's incidental to the electrical. You're fine.
Yeah.
Not that we want to talk about insurance. Let's stop now because
I mean, that's just so sexy, Mike. Thank you so much for taking it to insurance.
Yeah.
Somebody just logged off the podcast.
Right. Yeah.
Rob, I want to know, so you go to GE, you work for some pretty big outfits, and then this year you're like, I'm doing my own company. What made you want your own company? Was that always a part of the long-term plan? Like I'm already picking up on a trend of yours. You're a long-term thinker. Was like having your own electrical company a part of your long-term plan?
It was not.
Why did you do it? Why would you do this?
So
in California.
In California of all places, I saw a gap in the market in October of last year. My family and I, we moved from Sacramento to El Dorado Hills, and we needed some electrical work done in the house. Something came up and it was an emergency. And I Googled, electrician El Dorado Hills, and I got like 16 hits, and I called through all 16 and nobody picked up the phone. I left messages for the ones that I could and never got a call back. The one that did answer the phone, just picked me. He's like, yeah, I'm busy. I'll call you back. Never got a call back. It's like, that's pretty ridiculous. That I can't even get a call back for an emergency. So I did a lot of research on it just because it intrigued me, and found that the majority of residential electrical service providers are sole proprietors. It's a dude in a truck with his C10 license. And I was like, I could do way better than that. Because I know how to run a service business and set up a call center and set up the right CRM, and take appointments and book them and dispatch effectively, and run that service business. Right. So that got me thinking. And then, the company I work for, Coolsys, they did some restructuring in December. And having only been there for 3 years, I found myself for the first time unemployed. My first option was, of course, I got a good resume. I interview well. Let me find another job. And by three months in, I'm like, okay, I've applied to like 150 jobs and I've interviewed a ton, and I'm not getting any offers. And
which is wild, because
it is wild. And it is, the process
that doesn't make any sense.
You think you're overqualified? Do you think people are intimidated looking at your resume and your history in the military? And
I don't know.
This dude said Navy SEAL.
I don't know if intimidated. Navy SEAL. I don't think intimidated is the right word. I think that I don't fit a standard pedigree, and I think there comes a little bit of risk in that. It's like, okay, we could go the safe route and pick a guy that's been, a service tech and then a project manager, and so on and so forth. Or we can take this, this wild card has got a very zigzagging career path. I think that was probably, a little bit of risk aversion. That's my best guess.
But I mean, if I'm speaking as a whole, right, in a world or in a state where labor is at a premium right now, right? I mean, I feel like beggars can't be choosers, in my personal opinion, right? Like,
I would think so.
It's
all I'm hearing, you guys, is that it was destiny.
Yeah.
The world, the universe, God was telling you something by that not happening. And then you decide to take the leap, get yourself mounted on a lion, and it just starts to click. The phone starts to ring. Things start to happen. That was destiny.
You could put it that way. I mean, it seems to fit me pretty well, because I think I've kind of an entrepreneurial attitude. And so to be able to completely call the shots and look at opportunities and just simply make decisions, you don't have to take it to committee. I have, I got to say, not having built a single PowerPoint presentation in the year 2022 feels wonderful. Right. It really does. And if we do a job and say we're not as profitable on a certain job that we want it to be, I'm able to look at the numbers, talk to the guys, figure out why, and fix it. What I don't have to do is then figure out what's the talk track to the people that I work for, and, exert a lot of energy and effort to trying to spin a story so they keep their confidence in me and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of refreshing.
Fix the problem. Just fix the problem.
Fix the problem and move on. So we really dispensed with a lot of the, there's a lot of great things about a corporate business in terms of the structure and the process and the resources. But there's a lot of
mundane,
extraneous work that comes along with that. They're like, man, if I just didn't have to worry about this, it could be so much more productive. And so that's kind of where we're at right now, which is nice.
Yeah. So take us inside the conversation with your wife and family when you decided to take that jump. After being unemployed for 3 weeks or 3 months, you go to your wife and family and say, we're just going to do this on our own. Let's go through that conversation.
Tell me, take us there.
Well, we moved from Sacramento to El Dorado Hills, and that resulted in a big change in the mortgage payments. Cost of living is certainly not getting any cheaper, especially in California. And we got 4 kids, 12, 10, 8, and 3. So there's a lot of responsibility there as well. So it's been busy, and my wife is really.
I'm taking deep breaths for your wife right now. I'm taking deep breaths for your wife.
She has stepped up big time in terms of a lot of the stuff at home and handling that. And I'm not sure I can adequately express my appreciation for that, for sure. So it's been stressful, and there, just been a lot going on. And, the kids, they like coming to the shop. It's kind of fun for them. They got some Trident Electric hats and stuff like that. And my oldest boy likes to, work in the shop. And one of the guys is trying to teach him how to bend conduit. And, he calls himself the warehouse supervisor and likes to help organize all the materials and stuff like that in there, which is fun. And, I think my wife was pretty skeptical at the start.
I was going to say, I want to know what her first words were. So obviously,
I'll tell you my first words. You go.
Did you put together a PowerPoint? Did you put together a presentation, or was it?
I definitely made a sales pitch.
Okay.
It was not
love that.
Not PowerPoint.
Love that.
It was kind of showing her the business plan and the performance and talking her through everything and the plans. And she said, "That's great, but I still want you to look for a real job." And I don't blame her in the least bit, right?
For sure.
There's something to be said for
honest.
The stability. There's something to be said for the stability of a corporate job. And the first few months, there was, I wasn't pulling a paycheck because I didn't think the business could support it. And I am now, which is good.
So good.
It's certainly not the same paycheck that I was pulling a year ago.
It won't be for a little while. It's okay.
Not for a little while, but we're getting there, and the business is growing, and the cash flow is positive. And I think we've gotten over the you got a lot of hurdles when you start out, right? A lot of capital investment, a lot of infrastructure investment.
For sure.
And so you see some good cash come in, and then you need another vehicle, and you buy another vehicle, and then the cash comes in, then you buy another vehicle, or just all those investments. And I think we're past most of those. And so the next few weeks, we're really just going to be focusing on executing with the structure that we built, the guys that we have, the jobs that we have, and we're still continuing to bid a lot of new work. And when we get to that point where we need another service guy, which I think is coming up soon, then we'll continue to grow that. But it'll be, I think from this point forward, a little bit more measured, focused growth versus just kind of outward expansion in all directions.
Yeah. My husband and I are in business together. We have a residential construction business in Los Angeles, and we started it almost 15 years ago now. And he came to me, we were newlyweds, and I was pregnant. And he's like, we're going to start the business now. And it was the Great Recession. It was 2008. They're like, you're crazy. You're insane. This is not the time to do this. But we did. And it was terrifying. But when Robert starts to meet the road and you see the gaps that you've identified in the market and you capitalize on them, and then things are just coming to you, you have to go with the energy of that. And I mean, something is absolutely happening in your business, and you need to keep going. You need to keep going. What I've appreciated about your experience, with GE in the military is you've seen the big scale of things, and it sounds like you're implementing that top-down approach in your business instead of just like bottom up. You're not this guy who opened up a business in his truck and is like servicing these clients out of that one truck. Like, you really come down and it sounds like you're establishing a business from that top down. What makes you really excited about the establishment of the business, having had so much exposure to really big systems?
What's exciting is that every process that we design, everything that we do, I'm thinking about it, not with how can we execute this with 4 electricians running service, but how can we do it with 40, 50, 100? Right. So how everything we try to do, how can we make it scalable? How can it be a process that's not reliant on one person as much as this is the process? And so we actually have been working with an HR and safety consulting firm to help design a lot of those processes. So we built the employee handbook, the IIPP, job descriptions, so that, if somebody needs to leave for whatever reason, well, here's the job description, right? So I joke, I started off with the office manager's position, where Kelsey just does, anything that we need, but we actually now have a defined scope for her role and what she does, got one for the fuel estimator and everything like that. So we're building a lot of JDs to help in that scalability. But what's exciting is when you design it like that, and then you start to actually see it happen.
And then it works.
Yes. Yeah. Or it doesn't work, and we make a quick pivot, which is, a 2-minute
But either
conversation.
way, it's a binary result, right? Like, it either works or it doesn't. And then whatever that result is, then you pivot and move. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, we changed our pricing structure once or twice, based off of customer feedback. Not what I think
Up
that
or
they
down?
want. Both, as example, because we started off with just residential service, and now we're doing resi and commercial service. And then same thing for construction and the energy solutions. It's residential and commercial. And my first thought, for an example, we kind of look at our service calls as 2 types. It's either diagnostic, something's not working, come out, fix it, or it's kind of discretionary call. We'd like to look at how much it would cost to anything from putting an EV charger to new lighting, upgrades, stuff like that, new panels. There's a cost to send an electrician out. And so it was we got a trip charge to come out regardless of the type of call. And we'll give you an estimate for those discretionary ones. And if you accept the estimate, we'll deduct that trip charge from the final estimate.
So you've freaking figured that out in year 1?
Well, that didn't work, right? Because what we found was probably 95% of the customers were like, no, free estimate. I don't like, and we were losing. I remember 2 days where we lost 21 customers straight. They declined to book with us because everyone else is getting free estimates. And it's like, okay, so this isn't what I think the customer wants. It's pretty clear at this point in time, customers are not willing to pay for an estimate. So
I think that's one of the top 5 things in the industry that if I could change, be gone overnight, it's this free estimate thing. Because who works for free? Like, I want to know what homeowner when was the last time they worked for free? And do they not understand that it takes time, effort, money, energy to come out, spend the dedicated time with the homeowner, and then come back to the office and draft up that estimate? That's minimum 4 hours, 4 hours. And those are hours that homeowners just feel so incredibly entitled to. And yet, if you ask them when was the last time they worked for free, or they would come to my office and file for 4 hours, it just wouldn't happen. If there's anything, it's probably the top 5 things in our industry I would change overnight.
We're getting her fired up now. We're getting her fired up right now.
No, I agree with you. And so, and I'll take you back to October when, I saw that gap in the market, and we kind of identified, I used SurveyMonkey and surveyed a bunch of people in the area about their service experiences and what they were looking for. And we kind of came up to the four values that we're trying to structure our company around. And number 1 is if they call, we answer, right? So we are available, which meant right? Kelsey, the office manager, Kelsey, when the customer calls, you answer the phone. Doesn't matter if you're in a meeting with, you tell me to shut up and go answer the phone, right? Because everything takes a backseat to pick up the phone. Number two is we want to offer same day, next day service, if at all possible. Number three was we want to show up when we say we're going to show up.
Do what you say you're going to do.
And number four was we want to focus on quality work, fixing it right the first time. So all of the electricians we've hired, we've been very, very selective in terms of the folks that we hire. Like at the start, I wouldn't hire a B+ electrician. It had to be an A+. It had to be an A+, and we'll pay for the A+. And it's a union shop. I started a union shop for a few reasons, which is probably may raise some eyebrows among a lot of folks because it's a higher cost structure.
Yeah.
Number one, the union, I pay fringe and the benefits, but the benefits are provided through the union, right? So the retirement, the benefits, everything that these guys get, I say guys and gals, everything that they get is far better than even a mid-sized business could offer, right? The IBW offers outstanding retirement and healthcare benefits for their folks. And yeah, it's a higher wage structure, but I'm okay with that. What I wanted to do was pay for the best guys and gals that I could possibly get. And so, I mean, we actually pay above the union pay scale in a lot of cases. But what I don't have to worry about is employee turnover. We've got a culture where the guys feel like, they're held to a high standard, but they're also appreciated and taken care of. So I don't worry about the turnover, and I have the confidence that regardless of how difficult the job or the customer may be, I can send any one of my team, and I know they're going to get the job done and take care of the customer. So I would rather deal with the bit of a higher pay structure, a higher cost of goods sold, than I would paying guys $19 an hour, $17 an hour for a 7-year experienced guy and just churn them through the meat grinder and find new guys. Right.
Well,
so it's quality.
Yeah. It's the 4 values I think are incredible. And I just want to repeat them for any contractor that's out there. It's listening, because again, I want this to be a resource for anyone listening, is if someone's calling, answer the phone.
Yeah.
You're winning by answering the phone, because Rob's over here calling 15 guys and no one's picking up. Number 2, same day, next day. That's a little bit more niche to you, right? Like a lot of contractors have capacity issues and you can't deliver on that. Number 3, do what you say that you're going to do. If you said you're going to show up tomorrow at 8 a.m., you're going to be there at 8 a.m. Yep. And number 4, focusing on quality, and you deliver that by hiring the best quality. But I'm going to pivot here. And how do you set up your clients for the right expectation? Do you go through any kind of process to qualify your clients, or do you just take anyone? Because clients, like, your employees, can represent you, and they can either be a joy to work with or your worst nightmare. Do you do anything to qualify your clients?
We do. So we have kind of a script to follow anytime we answer the phone and talk to the customer, in terms of everything from payment, payment especially for the resi customers, payments due when we are done. We accept cash, credit, check, but when we are finished with the work, that's when the payment is due. We lay out our rates, obviously that we can't give, hey, my light switch isn't working, what's it going to cost? But we'll let them know, here's the diagnostic fee for us to come out and do the work. And then we'll stop and give you a bid once we figured out what the problem is, and, all that kind of stuff. And it's just that conversation with the customer to make sure that, number one, their problem is something we can handle. So we turn people away. My AC is not working. Okay, we can come out and check that your AC units are getting the right power. But if you're looking for somebody to diagnose the AC unit itself, I'm sorry, we can't do that. A lot of stuff like that, right? We make sure that it's within the scope of what we can provide. We try to market our scope accurately, and just qualify that on the phone. We set the expectations with them as well. Our CRM software is set up to really focus on communication. So when we take the call and we book it, they get an immediate confirmation email and a calendar invite. We set up 1-hour appointment windows, so we know that the electrician will be arriving between 8 to 9, 10 to 11, 1 to 2, and 3 to 4. Do the guys run late sometimes? Yeah,
of course.
But we let the customer know before their appointment span that we're running late, and usually it's not a problem. It's when.
And What do you think clients who are hiring you, your company, what's the thing that they need to know before they hire you?
I think it's the cost structure for the most part. What's this going to cost? And a lot of times we can't tell them what it's going to cost ahead of time, but we can tell them what the cost will be to find out how much it's going to be. And you hear enough of the same complaints generally of an idea. Here's what it most likely is. And so it's going to be ballpark around this price. They just don't want a surprise, right? They don't want you to come out and tell them it's going to be $4,000 to fix this light switch. As long as they're not surprised, it seems to work out pretty well. But,
sure.
I want to take us back that estimate, the cost, how you have to absorb that. I want to see you fired up again is what I want.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Don't get me started. Don't get me started.
So what we decided to do was differentiate based off of speed. Right. We have to obviously build the cost of going out for a free estimate into our estimate. It's not a significant cost, but I mean, certainly if you're doing 30 or 40 estimates a week, it adds up. And so we're differentiating by speed. So we're seeing that we can take the call, book it, get out and give the customer an estimate before they've even gotten a call back from another contractor. Which leads to I think a pretty good close rate of over 80% for all the estimates we're providing. So that was our initial answer to that. When it's sure free estimates, we just got to turn it around. You're calling us today. We'll be out there this afternoon. We'll give you the estimate today or tomorrow morning.
How do you do that? Do you have a software?
Yeah. We built all the labor codes, all the materials into the software. We have some predefined job codes. And so we started off with the electricians being able to build the estimate right there on their phone. It sends a digital copy to the customer. They can sign it on their phone and accept it, which triggers us to procure the materials, apply for permits if necessary, and schedule the follow-up. So we got a good process for that.
Yeah, I love all the technology.
Yes, it helps a lot. But then what we discovered was, all right, so I got electricians that are out carrying tool bags, have all this experience and skill, and they're spending 40% of their time not doing any work, just building estimates.
Building estimates of the truck.
And so I kind of looked for the unicorn out there. I need a guy or gal that is experienced with electrical work, specifically residential. But they're not going to do the work. They just want to provide estimates. And I found one. I found through a referral, a C10 license holder who's been doing resi work for 20, 25 years, Coast Guard veteran, got a bad knee, didn't want to do the work anymore because it just kills the knee. So put him into a hybrid electric vehicle. And his job is he goes around and he meets with the customers and builds estimates and cranks the estimates out. And of course, we had to establish a process for all the information flow from him to the electrician. So that when they go and do the accepted estimate, they got the materials there for them, and they know what they're supposed to be doing, right? In terms of drawings, plans, et cetera. That's helped out a lot, which has given us a little extra capacity for the electricians, and allowing us to respond quickly to those estimates. And then we get a little consistency with the estimates as well. Because I'll tell you what, you could put, take any trade, 3 plumbers, 3 electricians, 3 mechanical guys, you put them into a room and say, here's what the customer needs. They're all going to come up with 3 different solutions of how it should be done. And they will fight about it. And in terms of their experience, code, inspectors, ease of install, it's kind of humorous actually, because they're all 3 good solutions, right? It's just different ways to skin the cat.
Right.
But now we got some consistency on it. So that's kind
Robert,
of how we circumvented that.
Do you think that there's any reason for any single trade contractor out there to not be able to deliver same day estimates? Because it's way harder for a general contractor to do it, right? Like if we're building a house, I mean, we've got like 20 trades, but like, is there any reason a single trade contractor, an electrician, a plumber, HVC should not be able to produce a same day estimate?
Obviously the scope has to be smaller, right? Because we get requests for estimates all the time for new home constructions, major remodels, right? And that goes through a separate estimating process, right? That's the estimating software, and you're building your takeoff and estimating the hours and the manpower. And then you got to send the material list out to bid and stuff like that. Yeah. Those, no, I mean, obviously that's not feasible for same day. It's it doesn't matter how many people you throw at it. It's, if one woman is pregnant for 9 months, you can't have 3 women and you're only pregnant for 3 months each, right? It still takes that whole 9 months. But for the residential work or the smaller scope commercial stuff, I think it comes down to staffing.
Well, it's stubbornness too. Because I'll tell you right now, there's a good percentage of this industry that isn't willing to invest and learn about some of the software and technology that it takes to be that quick and efficient, right? I mean, a lot of them are still out there on yellow pads, writing everything down,
carbon
copies, and their little calculator, their little
Mike, I think that's a
calculator.
great point. I think that's a great point, that there's, for some reason, our industry has stayed parked in 1970. Like, Robert, you've been talking about software like CRM. You've been talking.
You said we're going to need to put a glossary underneath his what CRM and SEO and all the things.
Marketing partners, those are very top down corporate, larger scale terms that is in every business. But for some reason, our construction contractor industry has stayed in 1970, while the people that we serve are here today and expects that same type of service.
They do, and we have Amazon to thank for that. In a sense that, hey, I see that, I want it, I punch it into my phone,
push the button, and it's at my door.
I swipe right, and what do you mean it's going to take 2 days to get here? That's ridiculous. I need it this afternoon. I want a drone dropping it off at my house. And that those expectations have been, I think, shaped, which is why why customers want the free estimates. Which is, I mean, we had a customer the other day, we went out Wednesday afternoon, and Thursday morning at 9, we got them the estimate and they were displeased. Right. And it's, wow. Understand, we will try to do better. I felt like,
we'll try to do better. How?
It's tough. No, for sure. But what I do love about what you've done is if you've the problem solving of nature of what you've done, right? Like, there are plenty of people in the same mindset as Marcelo, right? Like, this is not a free estimate. The free estimates don't exist, right? Like, this takes my time in it. But you went the other route. You said, okay, I'll give you the free estimate, but I'm going to find a way to be the fastest so that I can be the first in your hands, so that you don't have an opportunity to see numbers from anybody else, and you just do it because you like me and you see how efficient we are. And if you're able to do all those things, guess what? Your cost can be 8, 10, 12% higher than anybody else, because they're not seeing anything else and they're just doing it, right? Because you're doing it the right way, you're communicating, you're being fast. And so rather than, charging for the estimate and then having to be the cheapest because they're getting estimates for everybody, and you cut your margin there, you're fast, you're efficient, you're in their face, not in their face in a bad way, but you're in their hands, right?
Yes.
Quickly. And you can charge a little bit more for that. And I think I love the problem solving nature of that, or the way that you went about that, right? Rather than just succumbing to the market, you said, okay, I'll do it, but I'm going to do it my way, right? There's a little bit different way to do it. I love that.
I want to lean into the fact that qualifying your client is even ever more important when you're being so super service oriented, because there are those homeowners that 9 a.m. on a Thursday morning, less than 24 hours, and they're disappointed. And for me and my business, I just don't want to work with those people, because those people will always see me like the help, and I'm not the help. I'm far too educated, and I have way too much value to be seen as I am your partner. And I lean way more into qualifying my homeowner so that they see me as an equal and not a person that's just coming in as their help.
Agreed. One of the things we're trying to work on is virtual estimates. So trying to figure out what the right process is for that, because you take an electric vehicle charger, right? I mean, EV chargers, they can take 40 minutes to install, right? If a lot of the new homes in California have the raceways built, you take a look at the panel or sub panel in the garage, and it's as simple as, there's, like I said, there's already the raceway. You pull 2 or 3 feet of number 6 wire through there, put the right breaker on, and done. And so it could be very cheap and affordable for the customer. But then you could take older houses where the panel's outside and there's barely enough capacity. And it's 125 foot wire run, outside and under the house or through the attic space. And right. So you could look at a $400 to $500 job. You could look at a $1,500 to $2,000 job, the EV charger. And I'd love to, and we're doing 10, 12 EV chargers a week right now.
Wow.
Easy. And, I'd love to figure out a way where we could do online estimates for a lot of these. You know, we're doing stuff, but there's not a good process.
We're gonna talk after this.
Yeah.
And if before we talk, you need to go listen to Aaron Giovanni, one of my guests, one of my podcast guests. He is a service plumber by trade, and they developed an app where they basically it's like a FaceTime call with one of their plumbers, and they could walk you through any sort of, minor plumbing issue. And then, I mean, there's AR built in to where like they can take a picture or show a picture of a piece of pipe or an adapter or whatever faucet, and it automatically creates a ticket and an invoice for Home Depot where these people can go pick up those parts. They tell them how to do all that kind of stuff. So anyway, the technology is built there where you can virtually communicate with the service technician. And then if it takes something beyond what the homeowner can do on their own, then, he does all the work as far as estimating and,
Okay.
and
I'd love to check that out. Right. Because I feel like some of these, it takes a field estimator, 5 minutes on site. And he's able to kind of measure
that was
out
a 35-minute drive
wiring.
and $6 a gallon of gas. And
Yes. And if we could figure out how to get a lot of that info virtually, then we can build the estimate and not have to send somebody out, which is better for the customer as well, right? They don't have to either take time off of work or step away from their
he
home
will
office.
100% white label the software. Like that's kind of where he's at now. He's done the proof of concept and ran it for a couple of years, but
I love that idea.
Yeah, no, he would. You guys should talk for sure.
Yeah. Cool.
That's what I love about this thing, man. We're creating a network and a community, and look at this.
For sure. So good.
Perfect. Let's get into rapid fire.
Can we get some rapid? I'm going to throw out some rapid fire questions to you, Robert. And again, like piggybacking on what Mike is saying, like these are really great conversations to have, hearing experiences from contractors and, how we relate and where we're different, so that it's just a platform and a resource center. Like Mike's going to connect you with this, like that's freaking money. That's currency. So, on the tone of trying to be resourceful, we just kind of want to see some things that you're doing that work for you. So rapid fire, I'm going to throw out 4 different questions to you and you just give me what you got. First question is, what is one resource that you can't do your business without? What's one? It can't be a person and it can't be internet because everybody's like, of course. But what's a resource that you're using for your business that your business can't survive without it?
Our CRM platform. That's easy.
I was going to say, I knew he was
What are you
there.
using? I know. I swear it was so good. What are you using and why?
We use it. It's called Field Pulse. One word. And it was. I screened and checked out. Tested a lot of them. In March and April. But it was a platform designed for contractors, specifically small businesses. And so, with customers can book online through the Field Pulse app, which is embedded in our website. But I mean, you got all the customers on there, so you can. Everything is the route it's all indexed by the customer name. So you can look at a customer history and see all the jobs that we've done, or all the invoices, or all the estimates. We build the estimates through it. We have GPS tracking for the fleet through it. We do all the invoicing. It syncs up with our bookkeeping software. It's got basically everything, and we have a whole inventory list. You can do inventory management through it, as well as all your pricing. So
this is like CRM on steroids. This isn't just like CRM.
It's an operational CRM. I mean, could. I mean, obviously, something like Salesforce is just not cost effective for a company our size.
Right.
Even something like Service Titan, not really for our size yet. But I mean, this works perfectly in the sense that. I mean, this is what the electricians and the estimator, they build their estimates in, right? So they can do it all on the phone. That's how they route their calls.
Do you think it works for different industries or different
yeah, they do
different
plumbing,
trades?
mechanical,
Okay.
and
All right.
electrical.
Good.
And it's really user friendly because I could think of different companies I've worked for where you have the CRM platform, which was designed for the data crunchers, which is certainly important when you're, servicing hundreds of thousands of
Yeah, it's
customers
just
a
not
year,
super
millions, right?
intuitive or user friendly.
But man, I would see
Yeah.
technicians in the field. They said, yeah, it took me an hour to do the job and it took me 2 hours to figure out how to debrief the call.
Right. Yep.
And we wanted something that was going to be easy. I mean, it takes me like a half hour to train a new electrician up on it. And they're usually their first day, they got a few questions and then they've got it. We even accept payment through it. So it's got embedded credit card processing, stuff like that. So
all right.
So for anyone,
pulse.
for anyone listening, CRM, customer relationship management, right? And in an industry where communication literally sets you apart from being the best contractor to the worst contractor, right? I mean, I think both of you as contractors could agree with that, right? Communication is paramount.
For sure.
I think one of the most undervalued pieces of a CRM, because as an operator, you see it like my takeoffs and my estimates and my purchasing and all that kind of stuff, right? That stuff is huge for you. But on the front end, from a customer relationship standpoint, those triggers where you can automatically send updates or automatically send communication or, without anything, they're triggered as the job progresses based on how you guys operate inside that. I think that is probably one of the most undervalued things of a CRM, especially for a contractor.
Oh, it's
keeping
great
that customer
when we book the appointment, you hit a button and it sends the appointment confirmation email and calendar invite.
So good.
When the electrician's on the way, he hits a button and it sends him a text with his location, like Uber or Grubhub. When they when they pay, they automatically get the invoice marked paid and all that other kind of stuff with a link for a survey and a review and all that kind of stuff. It automates a lot of stuff.
Robert, that's bringing the Amazon experience to
that 1970s
to what you do.
Industry.
Much smaller scale, but
Yes, that's incredible. And Field Pulse, if you want to give us a call for sponsorship, Mike and I are listening.
Rapid fire segment sponsored by Field Pulse. Yeah.
All right. What's the best advice someone has given you?
Are we talking about related to the business?
Whatever you want. Whatever.
If I'm being honest, I'd rather hear something from the military because that's probably most fun.
Can we please?
Yeah, whatever you want to do though, it's on you.
It's very there's no excuses for anything. You own it. If something screws up, it's your fault. Figure out why and fix it. There's never ever pass blame on somebody else. Why aren't you making enough money? Well, the customers want free estimates. No, I haven't found the solution to how we can overcome that. So anything that happens in your world, take ownership for it, take responsibility.
Because every problem is a leadership problem, right?
Everything. Yes. And so if one of my guys screws up, it's my fault. Right.
Yeah.
It's my fault. Yep. I didn't train him properly. I didn't equip him properly. I didn't prepare him properly. So that's best advice that I've ever received for anything.
Incredible. There are no excuses.
No.
It's yours to own and to figure out. And every problem is a leadership problem. That those two things are like hand in glove. Those are
credit again goes to Mr. Willink for that, Jocko, for that statement.
All right. Is there a book or podcast that you love?
I do. I since we're on that, that's a good segue. There's a lot that I listen to and like, I've always enjoyed the Tim Ferriss show as an example, and Joe Rogan, but I like the Jocko podcasts a lot because number one, in terms of military history, the way that he goes through the podcasts, I learn on every single one of those stuff that I didn't know. But I learn every single podcast of his that I listen to. I learned something about leadership. Sometimes I remember things that I've forgotten from my experiences. But yeah, that was just awesome.
That's really good to know. And the name of the podcast is Jocko.
Yeah.
Jocko. Yep.
Yeah.
Jocko. Those are my favorite kind of podcasts. Like those podcasts where I just grew. I just read a book.
Good.
Yes.
I just read a book.
Even if you don't know his name, I'm sure you've seen him on TikTok or on Reels or any other. He's got a lot of clips out there. You would recognize him if you saw him, Marcel. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Last question. You have a lot of responsibilities. You're a father, you're a husband, you're a business owner. What is the habit that you have that is all your own that fills your cup so that then you could pour into others? What do you do to keep yourself sane?
I don't do it consistently enough. But I like getting up early and working out before anyone else is awake.
What time is it? What time is it?
Usually 5:30.
Okay.
And
That's
do
respectable.
that. But
I could do that.
I would love to be able to sit here and say that is every single day. And it's
What's
not.
your goal forever? What's your goal? Like in a week? I mean, I don't
Well,
work out every day.
7 days. 7 days, like even Saturdays and Sundays is my goal.
And then what's your average?
I mean, if I'm honest, there was 3 months from like May through a few weeks ago that
On or about May 2nd, that started, I assume.
Yeah, on or about May 2nd, which is terrible. It's a lack of discipline on my part that I need to do a lot better job with.
I mean, life happens though, right? Like you've got other priorities. You've got
Mike, there are no excuses.
Sorry, no excuses.
There are no excuses.
Yeah. It is, because I'll tell you
bad.
what I find is every single day that I get up early and I work out, work goes better.
Yeah.
My kids behave better.
Yeah.
Everything goes better. So I don't know what the correlation is, except perhaps I handle the day better.
You do.
Obviously, that's what it is, right? Is when that happens. And it's right, but I'm not consistent to practice enough what I preach. All right. So that's one of the things that I try to work on.
Are you a cardio guy? Are you a weight guy? Like, are you a CrossFit guy? What do you do?
I'd say more CrossFit. It's more of that. I mean, I have a home gym, and so I do my stuff there. But I was a runner at Annapolis, and so it's kind of my favorite thing to do. But as I get older, the knees don't seem to handle the miles as well.
Yeah, rough on the knees. I'm a runner too. It's rough on the knees. Listen, I think the message I want to give to anyone listening, any contractor out there, any business owner, is that you have to carve out some time for yourself, like that. And you cannot, pour from an empty cup. And having that hour, if it's 5:30 in the morning or 3 o'clock in the morning, whatever it is, you got to find that time to do it. And you're a better husband, better father, better leader, better business owner. You're better at client relations. All of it is better when you do those things. And that's all I got. I want to say, like this conversation it filled my cup today.
I'm glad.
You're incredibly resourceful. And, I feel like I learned, and really just, I expanded my lens of that reminder of things need to be top down instead of bottom up, which is definitely one of my ethos. So congratulations, dude. You're in it. You're doing a great job. I'm going to be following and looking for you.
Well, I appreciate it. It was a pleasure to be on. It's great talking to you both today.
No, it was awesome, Robert. We appreciate it. So let's, before we go, give everybody a shout out. Let's help out those SEOs. How do they find you? How do they get a hold of you? What,
so www.
Plugs in there.
TridentElectricService.com. And we have a pretty solid web presence, and we're servicing right now just all of from a service perspective, all of the greater Sacramento area. And then from a construction perspective, all of Northern California.
Awesome.
Good stuff.
Very cool, man. Well, Rob, it's been awesome. We appreciate it. Again, thank you for your service, both in the military and what you're doing in the electrical world. And we hope to see you guys in the next couple of years and look forward to seeing where you guys are at. I think it's going to be fun. It's going to be a good ride for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Adelante.
Thanks, Rob. Have a good one.
All right. You too.
Stay safe.
All right. Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks for listening. If you had a good time, be sure to hit that subscribe button to get all the latest episodes. And if you had a really good time, leave a review to let us know what you thought. Until then, go gather some crazy stories on your job sites, and we'll see you next time on So, You Want to Be a Contractor.